And Joe Boy, as always, my producer and best buddy at this thing. Thank you so much. We have the ability to talk and be friends. This is the Third Side Convo. Signing off. Please subscribe. Please like us, and we'll be back again. Third Side Convo. Thank you. So check out the comments, but think about the comments that some of you and Ted battled on, because it's hard. You're going to have to bring your A game if you're going to talk to Ted. Okay. But he does not, Ted is limited in that he doesn't read anything on the conservative basis. He admits that. Okay. And there are some things where you actually are telling that, or actually have good points. But if we could put those comments onto the show, we could have a lot of fun. Okay? That's all I want y'all to do. And if you need to go, Bill, go. Get the heck out of here. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
Take care, Bill.
I'm going to undo the Zoom meeting. A lot of people on Zoom has left, so I don't know how whether or not we're going to get a lot of content.
But if they want to have some question stuff, we don't need a long after show. Everybody's got stuff to do. I'm sure it's okay.
Okay, so Tucker or Joe, we only got two people that have left back in there. Any thoughts on you guys' ends? What did we miss? They're muted. They're trying to figure out how to unmute.
Unmute.
Oh, yeah.
There they are. They figured it out.
You can mute. Okay. Yeah, no, so I actually hung around listening, and I like the parts on education and the talks on immigration. But it's been, for me, as somebody who went through the college system and was also very disappointed by it, and the education system, I think that it's not about getting rid of it or giving it to states. It has to be completely redone, because I absolutely agree with Joe. It should go towards educating people on how to live their life, but also understand their options and succeed with all the options, right? Don't cut any out. And right now, we're all programmed to not really learn anything at all, either way. And with immigration, I would always agree that a fairer entrance system, I think, is always beneficial, but a stronger border in the sense of, we don't want people coming in illegally, but we do want the process to be fair. I have a lot of immigrant friends, and I have a friend who's lived since she was 4, and she's having a hard time getting her becoming a citizen. It's really hard for
no good thoughts. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It is not an easy process.
No.
Okay, Joe, what are your thoughts?
Well, as far as the education system, I mean, is just like the great James Baldwin said, you're gonna want me to trust you, but you're not gonna show me anything that, no, you give me no reason to trust you. If you send it back to the states, I guarantee, especially some of your southern states, because I'm a product of those states, I know how those states run. You send it back to states like Mississippi, Alabama, you're going to have segregation. It's going to happen all over again.
Don't we have that already? I mean, I'm trying to get my
and actually,
currently,
you do.
As far as for the Caucasian element, there is 10%, 1%, 7%. The largest is 12%, because most of them are going to private school. So I'm going to send my son to public school, and there's not many that actually have a large percentage of his race, Caucasian.
Joe Boy, what do you think the American says when what do you think the African American says? This kid goes to school and there are only 7 other African Americans in an all-white school. Do you think that really?
What you have?
Certainly not that way here in Orange County. I just pulled the whole list. There's only 2 schools.
Let other Joe go, Joe.
Okay.
Not more good students, but more white people. That's what you want.
What you have in states like my father's home state of Alabama, my mother's home state of Georgia. What you have in those states, you have what you call county high schools. You know what I'm saying? And they're already segregated, because you can easily do that. You know what I'm saying? From one edge of the county to the next. Watch how easy it's gonna be. They're gonna bust black kids out like they did before. They'll get them out of there. Because you have right now, you had what was at 2021, you got a couple high schools that still have segregated proms. Watch how bad it gets.
I gotta agree with you.
Good. That's what we want. That's what we
Watch
want.
how bad it gets.
Is agreement and understanding. And I think that, I don't know, the Department of Education, there are things, and this is what Ted and I were talking about on this restricting of the government. There is a lot of good that the government does, and you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay.
Well,
So,
and my thing on immigration is how are you gonna identify it?
Yeah.
Well,
Tell me that.
That's the problem with the education.
Who are you looking for on the street that you're gonna mass deport?
Exactly. That's right. You gotta
didn't work.
So you're gonna grab up everybody that looks like that looks Hispanic. My wife is Hispanic. So what are you talking about? She's Puerto Rican. How are you gonna identify? That's what people like they haven't thought of. How are you gonna identify these people who are illegal? Because you're damn sure not gonna go to you're damn sure not gonna go and look at the white people who are Canadian who come over the border and have stayed. It's obvious who you're looking for.
Well, it's like me. I had experience because the way I look, people don't know. They can't tell what I am, and they're gonna start guessing. They think I'm Puerto Rican. They think I'm
exactly. Dominican. So you've opened up the door. You've opened up the door for police harassment for black and brown people. You've opened up the door for police harassment.
I don't know about that. Maybe at Home Depot, but I don't think it's just going to be all.
You've opened up the door for police harassment for black and brown people.
Back in the day.
So now basically what you're telling me is I got to carry around paper. You know what I'm saying? Or I have to have my rights violated because, okay, well, I have to stop you.
Oh, you mean you have to hold your state ID like everyone does?
No,
that's a dumb joke. You might think that's funny, but tell that to my mother who had to go to the back of a restaurant to get something to eat when she was a kid.
That's right. Joe boy, I just reapplied for my state ID, but it got lost in the mail. Oh, whoops. I just got stopped by an immigration officer. I'm going back.
And that's easy for you to say because you can have that disagreement. You can have that disagreement with a cop. I can't.
Yeah.
Right. You can. He's absolutely right because back in the days in Oakland, this is why the Rodney King thing blew up the way it did because in California and all around, as my brother, I have 8 brothers. We used to get stopped by the police. I had to start catching the bus to work because I used to get stopped by the police because I looked a certain way and I had to catch the bus early in the morning because I was a baker being at work at 4 a.m. I had to ride the bus and getting stopped by the police every other day was becoming a problem for me going to work. It was a big issue back in the 80s and the 90s back in California and all this other stuff. So it was a huge issue.
Bob, I'll reiterate that because I can't remember the police chief in the mid 80s, but to mitigate the rising gang influence through Compton and South City and South Side, they just went after everybody who was black. Keith Wilkes, the former basketball player, said he was stopped constantly. He said if you were an African-American driving a BMW, you got stopped. You were pulled over.
We've got 40 years of improvement that we have,
No, driving while black driving while black still exists. There is no question about it. And
see how you talk about improvement? You want us to trust that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
You want us to throw out the laws. You want us to throw out the laws that protect us from that.
Right. Well, but that's why we're talking. So what you're saying is within the Department of Education, there is a whole area that tries to deal with that stuff. And so that stuff's got to be continuing. Okay. I don't know how you do it.
You got to educate people on the issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
What about the deporting of people? Because
and not just that. What about you take about law? You take about the Board of Education. What about when they want to whitewash history? So you can't teach history how it actually happened. You know what I'm saying? If you throw it back to the state, really? Okay. Look what's happening here in Florida. This is a dumbing down of America because so you tell us, well, it's not about feelings because some little white boy goes back and says, "Hey, mom, you know what I'm saying? This, and that." Now we're talking about feelings all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot there. These are very complex things, aren't they? Joe, I appreciate. Joe, we got to get you on the main show. Have you finished with football practice yet? Or are you out at the field right now? can't see you.
No, it's done. I'm at the house.
He's in the house.
Oh,
But we
good.
still need to hear from Tucker.
Well,
still need to hear from Tucker.
we're going to definitely have to go. Okay, Tucker, any more thoughts that you had?
So I have a lot of thoughts. I guess I'll go. So I guess we're the resident center right, center left couple. But so as far as, I mean, a lot of what has happened with the run up to this, and it's making people focus on that. And I love one thing. First off, the subject for tonight's show is absolutely perfect. Me and her had this exact same conversation last night. What now? And a large part of it is, well, we don't really know. We'll see. But for me, one of the things that stuck out for me were tariffs, and I think bringing industry back here is important. And we probably will have to take an initial hit. That's just the way it is. That's the price. And you know what? That's the price that we kind of have to pay for sending it all over there in the first place. You reap what you sow. And somebody made a comment on how they copied the SpaceX rockets. I don't know who it was, but
Bob did.
they may have done that, but they've also done something even bigger. Just look up the J-35. I can't remember the company that made it. It's basically a Chinese F-35, essentially, fighter jet. It's a next gen fighter jet that's going to be used by the PLAAF. Intellectual property theft is already happening. It's going to continue happening unless something's done about it. But you can't really tariff that, can you? You can tariff brain.
Musk says he doesn't make any more patents. It's not worth it. It stifles innovation.
Exactly. And I think that as far as immigration, we're kind of dead center on it, really. Like, it needs to be changed. But you also just can't not have a border. You can't have a system where you're just letting people in here. I mean, I know people that were carried across or boated across during the Cuban evacuation and everything. And
Years ago.
well, yes, I know.
It's so few of those people though.
It's
you know how most people get here, and I can tell you because I'm a director of security at a university. It's through the university. They go to school and they stay here.
Exactly.
So they're not illegal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
They're legal. They got here legally. They got student visas and they stayed. And my thing is, how are you going to ID it?
Yeah.
What about people who join the military with the African U.S. citizens?
Exactly. So what you're telling me is you're going to go after a specific group of people because of what they look like.
Yep.
You can't do it.
You can't do it.
I don't
So,
necessarily
exactly.
agree with that. It's based on what their looks are.
I don't
But
support that.
right, majority of people overstay their visas.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Now they're focusing on the border wall and keeping people from coming in illegally. Because if they can afford the plane ticket, well, guess what? They're not going to be taking. Instead, they'll be giving. And I think it's the dark secret that to talk about. It's the mean part. It's the non-empathy part. We don't want the poor coming in and taking our resources, and that's what they're afraid
you mean
to say.
the farmers that you mean the migrant farmers that give us our vegetables?
Yeah, we can pay higher prices for our vegetables.
We already are.
There you go. Yeah, sure. You're gonna love watermelon at $10. Hey,
and it's not. I think.
Now, why'd you pick watermelon? Come on. Seriously?
I mean, I've seen
1985. Secretary worked the office down below me in the newspaper. Great girl, French Canadian, wild, fun, loved it. She overextended her visa. She married her brother's gay lover to gain citizenship. That was in Santa Cruz. She lived in Pleasanton.
What is it?
Hey, there was a knock on her door in Santa Cruz, and she had no clothes there. 2 days later, they found her in Pleasanton. She admitted it. 3 days later, she was in a plane back to Montreal.
Wow.
Yeah, so don't give me the overextended visa bullshit.
It would be nice if we could make it easier to stay, if we had an easier way to process the people and all the requests. But as soon as we start doing that, we keep getting more and more requests. At first, we're getting 500,000 a year, 1 million, 10 million, 20 million begging to come in, and we can only let 1 million at a time.
Why is that?
Why does everyone want to come here? Because we're great.
Yes.
Everyone wants to come to a great place.
And you know why? Because a lot of people who came here 20 years with nothing are making it great.
Yep.
Exactly.
I'm not denying that. I agree with you, Ted.
Yeah, we can
want-
solve
We
it.
are awesome.
Yeah.
Then, Joe,
That is
why
true.
to become great? All right.
Can't kick them out.
I think that, I mean, to be a little bit more lighthearted about it, the question is,
Thank you, Tom.
the question is, how are we supposed to track all of these people? To be honest with you, I think we better tackle the like,
What's all the bureaucracy for then? Don't they have all the paperwork to track them?
well, they can't give me an itemized receipt for where my tax dollars go to. So
Illegal.
We can track every cow in the world, but we can't
You
track
know,
people.
have Microsoft put a chip in their brain. Get during the vaccines.
Will that
I
chip
mean-
tell them what to vote for?
yeah, I was gonna say, like, let's tackle getting an itemized list that when you pay your taxes every year as to where your tax dollars for the previous year went, and then because IDing people, that is a huge problem to tackle.
Yeah,
And-
most of the things we're talking about today, they're tough issues, or they would already be solved. And every time you come up with something, especially the government does, there's probably always a downside. So there's pluses and minuses to everything that we look at. But that's okay. That's why we're doing this show, so that we look and we see some of the negatives to it. So people that catch this show, what they'll be able to do is they could say, yeah, but you may say this, but there's this side of it. That's what we need to look at. That's what we need to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and kill it today, but thank you for everybody who appeared in the gallery. And Joe, we've got to get you on the main show. I'm glad that the football is over so we can get you. We'll have to talk to you about a good subject. And again, check out thirdsideconvo.com. Check the shorts out. We've had some great fun here at the show, and we will see you again on the Third Side Convo. Thank you.